Hi guys, this is Vinneychopra with the Apartment Syndication podcast, sequel to the book that I put together last year. Alicia Debrel is kind of sick. She was in the hospital yesterday. So I have my co-host, John Rusin. Hi John, how are
Hello,
you,
everybody?
bud?
So glad to be here today. I'm excited to talk with our guest, Kevin. Pleasure to have you on.
Totally. Thank you, John. And again, Kevin, thank you so much for joining on our podcast. And I want to introduce you formally, and we'll dig into some nitty-gritty great stuff that you're going to be sharing with our audiences. Kevin holds the keys. Kevin is a great personality, guys. I got to tell you that. Kevin Bupp, I mean, you just Google him, you just YouTube him, he's there, and he's just an icon in the industry. And I'm so pleased that he's here with me. And Kevin holds the keys to successful real estate investment with over 19 years of experience. Kevin now educates investors to locate, acquire, and create higher than average returns from his widely misunderstood niche of the mobile home parks investing. So I'm really excited to kind of learn more about it. And he shares his expertise through the mobile home park investing in the podcast that you, Kevin, you also have, and also as the host of the Investing for Cashflow. I love that. Beautiful. Which has become one of the hottest podcasts on iTunes. Congratulations, Kevin. That's wonderful, buddy. Often is in the top 100. In addition to real estate endeavors, Kevin is passionate about giving back to the society, in the founder of several charitable organizations, including founded runningforbruce.com, a running social running club, and more than 10,000 active members. Oh my gosh, we would love to dig into that. And then 72 hours to Key West. Yes, Key West, Florida, you think?
Yes.
Probably, right? An annual 280 miles bike ride benefiting the impoverished families during the holidays. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kevin. It's such a pleasure to have you, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, Vinney. Vinney and John, thank you so much, first and foremost, for having me here as a guest. Very excited to be here and hopefully share some good information with your listeners. So very excited.
Cool.
Thank you.
We can dive right in. So I'm sure everybody's wondering, why did you get into real estate and why mobile home parks?
Yeah, no, two very good questions. I always like to say that real estate kind of found me. A lot of people go on a soul search at some point in their adult life. Maybe they're, not happy with a corporate job or W-2 job, or just need a change of scenery, or maybe they're looking to create some type of, cash flow or, wealth for their family, right? They typically go on a search. However, real estate kind of found me at a point where I really needed it, but I didn't know to look for it. And so it came by the way of a gentleman by the name of David, who I was 19 at the time. He was local to me in Pennsylvania. He happened to be dating the mother of the girl that I was dating at that time. So a very random, happenstance that we met. But David had been a local real estate investor for many years. That was what he did. And he owned small residential and multifamily properties, and lived a very different lifestyle than what I had lived growing up. I very, very middle of the run family, never went without. Didn't have a lot, but didn't have little, right? Like we never knew any difference, all relative, went on a vacation a year and always seemed to have food on the table and things of that nature. So, but however, David lived a very different lifestyle. Always drove a, very, very nice car, dressed very nicely, liked fine wines, and just seemed to live a very different style than what I was used to growing up. And also seemed to have a lot of, the thing that got my attention was he seemed to have a lot of flexibility in his day. I would go visit my girlfriend in between classes at community college, and I tended bar in the evenings to kind of make my way. Yep. And David would be around the house sometimes in the afternoon. And to me, that was odd because my parents worked, 9 to 5, 9 to 6. They weren't around during the middle of the, the day, the work week. And so I was just intrigued by him as, as an individual. He was a very nice guy, but ultimately about his lifestyle. And so, a couple months into knowing David, he invited me. I never expressed to him my interest in what he did. We just kind of grew a friendship, and he invited me to a 3-day real estate boot camp down in Philadelphia, which is about 2 hours away from where I lived. And I had no idea what I was getting into. All I knew is that he paid, $3,000 or $4,000 for the seminar, and his partner couldn't join him. And he offered for me to go for free as long as I paid for my hotel room. And I just thought it was a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about what he did and see if it was something that I could wrap my arms around and might have an interest in. That's what I did. And ultimately, long story short, I was excited. I was overwhelmed. It was a great experience. I was, I left there, just really high on what I had just seen over the last 3 days, people I'd met. However, I didn't know really where to start. It was all new to me and foreign. And so I basically said to David, how can I want to learn more. I want to learn how to do what you're doing. But I don't know how to do that from just those 3 days. Like, I don't know the next steps to take. And how can I help? Is there anything I could do to help you in your business? I've got some flexibility. I tend bar 3 nights a week. And so I made good enough money doing that to, support myself and support school. And I had some flexibility in the afternoons and, 2 days that I had off of taking classes. And so I said, how can I help you in your business? I just want to be around you. I enjoy being around you, but I also want to help you in your business. I want to learn what you're doing. And so that's what happened. He accepted the offer. And basically I was, I don't know if I had a title. I was the admin. I was the go get coffee guy. I was the whatever, go pick up paperwork, back in the day when he actually had physical paperwork, and so I would do whatever he asked me to do just to be around him. And through osmosis, I learned how he talked to people, how he spoke to people, and really what the intricacies of his business was. So anyway, that was about a 14-month process. I went and bought my first property shortly thereafter. I was 20, and just really modeled what he did. I didn't really see any reason to reinvent the wheel, and modeled what he did. And through those early years of my real estate business, I acquired quite a significant portfolio of single family and small multifamily properties, and that kind of leads us up until like 2008. 2008 happened. I was living down in Florida at the time. Got my teeth kicked in quite a bit during that period, and
a lot of us got kicked in.
Yeah. And it was good because I wouldn't change a thing about it. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for that very challenging time. It took me out of the game for a couple of years. I took a hiatus because to me, the world was ending. When you're in your little bubble and you can't step outside, and Florida was one of the epicenters of the crash, it was hard to realize that life would go on in a normal way, and people were making money during this really challenging time because I was losing everything. But that was during the period where I actually started a couple of those other endeavors that you had mentioned there in the introduction, the runningforbrews.com social club. At that point in my life, I wanted to do something. I lost everything. I lost my own personal home in foreclosure, yada, 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 and literally had my bank accounts garnished. I mean, I was truly at that point to where, thank God, the foreclosure process was really backed up here in Florida to where I got to live in my own primary residence for a period of time before the bank took it back. That was a saving grace. That was because I would have been homeless for a period. And so I needed to figure out a way to make money. And I started the social running club really out of I wanted to do something outside of real estate. I didn't want to think about real estate because I was still in damage control for many years after 2008, right? It took a lot of time for it to play out. And I enjoyed running. I enjoyed health and fitness. I enjoyed running. And I also really enjoyed craft beer. And so I thought I'd marry the two together. And ultimately, it was a big hit with one club, and it turned it into a business to where the bars would pay us to essentially bring people in their slow night of the week, and we would run a 5K, and then we would sit around and have beers and eat food, and I would bring anywhere between 30 and some of our clubs have 100 people that attend on the slowest night of the week for that restaurant, which was a big boon. And so now we've got clubs all across the country. And so anyway, it was a good way for me to get my mind off of what was happening, to make some money, to keep the roof over my head. It also became a charitable endeavor as well. And so we have given a lot to different charities over the years. And so anyway, not to derail the conversation.
That
here,
is so true. No, you're right, Kevin. Rod Cleef, Michael Bank, yourself, myself. That crash really, really hurt a lot of people. But who really came out of that, who took charge, right? Who said, okay, what next? And, that's what success is about. It's about failures. It's about focus. It's about gumption. It's about all the rejection that's going to happen, but then emerge as a winner. So no, that's so true. So very true.
Well, what I realized, Vinney, you make a great point. And what I realized during that time is I couldn't control what was happening with my portfolio, my financial well-being. It was in a spiral down effect, and there was no way to stop it. It kind of had to just play itself out.
Right.
But what I could control at that point was my, my health and my well-being, right? I could control that aspect to a certain extent, right? I could eat right, I could exercise a ton, and I could make sure that I maintained clarity and strength and focus and stamina so that it could better carry me through this challenging time. And that's what I tied, basically that into that Running for Brews business I started. And I started another endeavor as well that we didn't mention that was tied to health and fitness. And basically it was a way for me to work through this, three odd years of a hiatus, I guess you could say, where I didn't buy any real estate. It was literally 3 years of running a couple of different businesses I was having fun with. They were keeping me healthy. They had a very major social aspect to them and also a very charitable aspect to them. And so it allowed me to do things I really enjoyed doing while also I wasn't getting rich, but I was making enough to get by and to, get me to the next stage where I could figure out, what was phase 2 of my adult life. And that's what led me to mobile home parks. The fire of real estate never went out of my belly. It just never left. And again, I was scared. There's no other way to put it. I was just scared during that period of time. And, credit was below a 500. I just, didn't have all my credit cards got shut off. And, I couldn't go get a car if I wanted. I had this old beat up, truck that, it just had a ton of miles on it. I just literally kind of skated by, and the fire never went out. And, I about 3 years into it, I looked back and started really reflecting, have a deep reflection of what went wrong in my business and, what I would have done differently, things of that nature. And what I realized is that, and I kind of knew it during, before the crash, is that the single family properties I had were just incredibly inefficient. Again, it was efficient when David's model, in a small town, everything's within a 10-mile radius of each other. He had a small portfolio of 25 properties, not that many, right? That's manageable. It doesn't get out of control until you get much, larger than that. And I was much larger. And so my things were also spread out amongst multiple counties, and it was a very inefficient business. On paper, we look great with equity until the market took it all away. But as far as the operation side, it just wasn't efficient. However, the multifamily stuff we had a number of smaller, 36 unit, 48 unit type properties. Awesome. They seemed to just chug along, and they were more efficient, right? Because we could literally, a number of them had a part-time or a full-time maintenance guy at each location. And they were more efficient businesses. Your listeners understand, I'm sure, that aspect of multifamily versus single family. And so I knew that when I went to rebuild, again, to really, to get back to that fire in the belly, to rebuild things, I knew I wanted to do it with multifamily, but not single family. I had nothing to do with single family. I didn't see a way to get back to a scale and fix the challenges that I think still exist today in that business. And during that journey of basically, I gave myself some time to really learn how the landscape had changed in the real estate world, right? Things were very different. Banks were very different. There was still a lot of distress. This is 2011, and a half-ish. Yeah. There's still a lot of things going on, right? The world was not a normal place yet. And during that journey of just meeting everyone that was currently in multifamily that had made it through, or maybe just got in at that point, I was introduced to a guy by the name of Randy. And Randy was a local. He had been a banker for 30 plus years. And when he retired, he bought a number of mobile home communities here in Florida. And I had a mutual friend, actually Rod Khalifa is the individual that introduced me to Randy. Yes. And I've known Rod for many, many years. In fact, work with his brother, own a number of properties with his brother today. His brother works literally for our company and as a partner of mine in a number of deals. So, and anyway, long story short, Rod introduced me to Randy, and really with no intention of me having an interest in mobile home parks at all. It was just a way to meet another successful local businessman, just, expand your network. Right. And I had a lunch with Randy, and about 2-hour lunch. And during that lunch, he piqued my interest in many different ways as to this very mysterious niche of mobile home parks. And I left that meeting with a newfound interest of, not necessarily apartments, but I'm going to give myself 12 months to learn everything I can about this space. And buy a park. Well, not just learn it, but to actually buy a park and either really prove or disprove all these good things that Randy had stated about this, this niche within the multifamily industry. And so that's what I did. It took me about 14 months to buy the first mobile home park. That was, 2012, late 2012. And I still own that one today and been buying them ever since. And we own parks now today in 13 different states, and are continually buying and looking to expand. And, it's just been a great business. I enjoy it a lot, and it's been very lucrative. So again, everything in my life is kind of your right place, right time, right? But being prepared for those opportunities. They seem to have come and found me rather than me finding them. So
I love it.
I'm very blessed.
I love it, Kevin. And the thing is, I also believe that opportunity knocks at our doors, and many opportunities only knock one or twice. And if you don't grab it, then
Yes.
you are on the wayside, and then sometimes people overanalyze things. That's another notion, they say, I want to be, good in this thing, and I want to be 95% sure I'll be good at. That's the other fallacy. A lot of times we should really jump into something that makes good sense to us, and then learn it and then go further like you did. I mean, look at that. Your interest from real estate and then losing everything and then coming back into the niche, which has made you so successful, in the last 7 years, let's say, right? 6
Correct.
years. And it took me 11 months to buy my 14 units, for $140,000. I know $180,000 back in the crash myself also. We had a lot of single family homes and sold them all in 2017, actually. We still kept them on for many, many years. But, multifamily, and I'm really fascinated with the mobile home parks because it's not the people think about them in a different connotation, right?
That's
I was
correct.
shared with a presentation that a lot of seniors, good, healthy people, I mean, a lot of great demographically shift has come. Can you kind of share with us, how these mobile home parks are really strong,
Yeah.
dwellings in every community, and we need them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's been the shortage of affordable housing has been present for a long time, and it's only growing, right? And so we serve a very unique niche of the affordable housing crisis. And just to set a foundation, mobile home parks, for those that have that, the negative stigma, that's what they think of as a mobile home park. And I like to put it this way. You could take apartment complexes, you could take single family properties, you can pick any city in the country, and I can show you where there's really low end single family homes that are an area that you surely wouldn't want to go at, probably during the day or at night. I can show you the middle of the road, blue collar, hardworking, working class neighborhoods. And I can show you really high end neighborhoods. Same thing goes with apartment complexes. Well, the same thing exists in the mobile home park space. There's really low end communities that are in the wrong side of town that are full of riffraff. There's the middle of the road, and then there's very high end. You mentioned the senior communities. There's a number of communities that they're not even affordable housing. These senior communities have they're lifestyle communities more than anything else. They have swimming pools, they have activity directors, they've got palm tree lined streets, and they're very, very high end, and they're expensive to live in. And a lot of times they're second homes to folks that either live in the Northeast or the Northwest, and they want to come to the Sun Belt, to get away from the colder weather. And so in any event, the mobile home park niche, as far as the demand for it, there's some big barriers there. That negative stigma that everyone thinks of, it also exists with municipalities. And the only thing I can attribute it to is, back in the day, I'm sure that this was very much a mom and pop industry. It didn't have a lot of organization to it, and I'm sure there was bad operators just like there are today. For some reason or another, the bad operators got the exposure and the good operators didn't. And so municipalities really have thrown mobile home parks into one big giant box of like, we don't want it, we don't need it. Well, we don't want it, we need it, but we don't want it because it's bad for the community, right? It's going to bring the wrong element into the community. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And so that's one of the big barriers. And so mobile home parks are the only asset class that have a diminishing supply. So more are going away each and every year that are being brought online, which is very interesting. So part of it is due to the municipalities' aversion to, having these in their community. But then the other one is, there's lots of higher and better uses for most plots of land where a mobile home park might be able to go. So take any city in the U.S., if there's a big enough plot of land, remember, we need horizontal space with a mobile home park. They take up a large footprint. Whereas in that same footprint, you could probably put a much larger apartment community that's going to bring in a higher grade of residents. That's going to ultimately bring more tax dollars to the municipality. You might put a mixed use project. There's many other things you could that the municipality could probably choose to do that would be better for the entire community as a whole, right? And so we all know that every municipality acknowledges there's there's an affordable housing crisis, but none of them have really given in to really allow affordable housing to really be built, or they haven't come up with a solution that they're willing to work along with to help that community fix that problem, right? And so mobile home parks, unfortunately, are a victim of that as well. And so it creates a unique opportunity for us in that when we buy a mobile home park in a good market that's got good schools and a high demand for affordable housing, we don't necessarily have to worry about the demand or the risk of competition if someone buying a plot of land down the road and developing a new mobile home community. So that's one of the big benefits. That's one of the things that Randy kind of sold me on. That's one of the many things he sold me on as to why you should be considering mobile home parks. And just one of the other ones real quick, and I'll let you guys speak for a moment, because I'm taking over the
No, I love it.
One of the other aspects is this, you could take a mobile home park in any of the states we own them in, probably any of the cities that you own apartments in now. And, the average lot rent across the country is about $325 a month. Obviously some more expensive markets, some lower end markets, but the average about $325 a month. There is nowhere in any given city in the country where a family of four can live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home with their own little yard, they could put Christmas lights out. They've got their own little space for that amount of money in a month. I mean, it doesn't exist anywhere else. And so, it provides an opportunity for an individual to become a homeowner that might otherwise never make enough income or have the ability to truly, live the part of that American dream of actually owning a home. And so, again, amongst other things, but those are two of the really big things that really attracted us to the niche and make it a good niche to be in, and why there's still such demand for it, even during these challenging times of the pandemic. We're trending right along where apartments are, multifamily as far as collections and things of that nature.
Very, very beautiful. No, I totally agree what you're talking about. There is a definite need. Something really has drawn my attention is average savings an average American has. It's just outlandish, how less money, $600 or $1,000. And that's very far cry, for a number one nation in the world, to have that. So I think it's such a great, niche that you're in. And I respect you for that, because that is needed. It's needed, because it's, I'm very philosophical in saying that, we all came in, we were born in this world for a purpose. And, some dealt different cards and so forth and all that, but everybody has equal right to really enjoy the life we are all living in,
I agree.
and the shelter and eating and everything. And it's us, all of us, responsibility to really make sure that we take care of our fellow people. I really believe that. And thank you for that, in that aspect, moving, so many people to living in great places. And that's wonderful. So let me kind of take you back to if somebody new investor, right? A lot of people want to do what you are doing, what I'm doing, what other successful people are doing in real estate, but they want to do overnight success. What would you say to them?
Go get a W-2 job. Yeah, unfortunately, overnight success. Other than the lottery, right? That is about probably the only feasible overnight success that's really possible in this world is if you win the lottery. But other than that, it just if someone thinks that way, then they probably be better suited until they get the mental shift to just get a job and probably get that stability versus being an entrepreneur. Again, maybe that's a little too harsh, but that's kind of how I feel.
No, really. The education part is so important, of course.
Yes.
With the internet really bombarding us with so much out there, it's hard to really pinpoint and, go to the special field like yours. You are a master in teaching your, students how to get, where to get, how to do it. The blueprints are there,
Right.
And it's so easy, I think, for sometimes people just don't have the gumption to say, hey, I'm going to take my time 2 years to learn the business or do it in 3 months, right? and I can be a very productive member into that field, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I know you probably come across them, and we do too. What successful habits do you think, Kevin, will help somebody to really, uh, you know, shot up in this real estate world, in
Yeah.
investing, I think, and also learning to do what you and I are doing.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And I'll start by saying, back when I got started, back when you got started, I mean, things were very different, right? There wasn't, podcasts didn't exist. There wasn't, hundreds of thousands or millions of hours of free information that's out there, right? You got YouTube. You could pretty much learn how to do anything you want real estate outside of real estate on YouTube. I mean, if you want to learn how to replace the engine in your car, if you have no mechanics training whatsoever, you could figure out how to do it, right? The information is out there and it's free, which is crazy. Yeah. However, there's a downside that there's so much information, it's hard to filter through it all, right? And so there's an opposite problem now. It's hard to filter through all the noise and figure out, where to really spend your time and energy, because you can get pulled in a million different directions and it's very easy to do that. And so I think that, one of the the skills I think that everyone needs to adopt if they want to be successful in real estate in general is just patience, right? I mean, patience to weed through and get a focus, figure out what is in. There's a million different asset classes: multifamily, mobile home park, self-storage, office, retail. I mean, there's a whole bunch of sub asset classes as well. Like there's 1,001 different ways to make money in real estate. Sure. But they're all very different. You'll find one that aligns best with your interest and what your long-term goals are, right? Ones that will give you maybe the flexibility you're seeking, that will allow you to continue to travel more than maybe one that will keep you locked down to an office and on the phone nonstop all day long, right? Really try to find that niche in real estate that aligns with your personal life goals and financial goals. And then once you have determined what that is and have the patience to take time to filter through a lot of the noise, it's going to take time. Once you determine what you think that is, go all in and eliminate all the other noise. Like just ignore all the other Facebook posts that of guys that are showing checks of money that they're making and refinances are doing. Just ignore it all, because it's going to continue to eat away at you, and just stay focused and give yourself, enough time to learn that niche, to surround yourself with others that are successful in that niche, right? Find others that are doing it, that are actually doing it, not just speaking about it, and build that immediate, that safeguard network that's going to help you get in safely, but also grow and scale. Because this is a team sport. No matter what aspect you're in of real estate, it's a team sport. You need to find others that are actually out there doing it, that are going to be a supportive network for you to help you grow and learn as an entrepreneur and as a real estate investor. So, but I think going back to patience is going to be a big quality that you're going to have to learn. And if you're already patient to begin with, then I think you're a couple steps ahead. So.
Nice.
I don't know if I answered your question. I went off on a ramble a little bit, so I might not have answered the exact question that you had. But
I think that's the beauty of the podcast, is to really dig deeper into psyche. I think I really believe that. And a lot of us, they're looking for content and all that. They will get the content. It's what we really get people to make decisions. As they're listening to our material, that will hopefully get them to take that next step. The action step to learn, what your niche is and what our niche is, or wherever they are. If they're happy with what they are doing, W-2, then it's fine, right? It's those who want to make the difference in their life, in their freedom, and all those. So that's what I think podcasts usually do. They inspire you to take action, one or two things, which make sense to people, right? Yeah.
That was one of the big objectives I had, 6.5 years ago. It's been a long time. I started my first podcast. It was called Real Estate Investing for Cashflow. Back then, there was a number of real estate podcasts, but there was no commercial real estate podcast, commercial real estate investing podcasts. There was probably about 30 or 40 residential, rental or fix or flip podcast. And I was an early adopter of podcasts. I've been listening to them probably for like a dozen years, back when no one knew what a podcast was. And I got frustrated over a number of years of there wasn't really the content I was seeking. There were some good ones, but as far as like specific real estate content that would speak about, the commercial side, like bigger properties, bigger deals. And so the objective I had when I started that podcast was not to only, give the information I know others were looking for, but to expose them to the different niches that are available in the commercial real estate world. And so I've made it my goal over these years to, to bring on experts like yourself that are multifamily, bring experts in office, bring experts in retail, self-storage, and then a bunch of other weird niches like marinas and mobile home parks and parking lots. And I mean, basically expose them to all the different ways possible to make money so they can figure out one that interests them. And then at that point in time, like that's like the baseline. Then at that point in time, they can dig deeper, right? But give them the exposure, show them what's out there, and then let them start making choices for themselves as to what the next steps are to learn as much as they can about it before they dive in head first.
Love it. You've given a lot of good actionable steps for someone just starting out. What would you say is the most important first thing that you would tell someone that wants to get started in the business to do?
Yeah, I mean, again, not to be redundant, but I think it's you got to figure out, assuming that you've already made a decision you want to get into real estate, right? You've got to find like what are the many different aspects that are available, where you can fit in and how you can make money, which one best aligns with your own goals, right? Both your personal and your financial goals. I think that is, if you don't figure that out, you're just gonna be chasing, dreams, and you don't know why, and you might spend a year. I mean, we don't know when our last day is on this earth, right? Like we all have limited time. It could be tomorrow, it could be 50 years from now. But I mean, you want to make sure that you're spending every day as efficiently as possible. And if you're just out there, chasing the next shiny object, and don't even know why you're chasing it, figure out why you're chasing it. And then look at each shiny object individually and figure out which one best aligns with your ultimate goals as an individual. I mean, I don't want to be redundant, but I think that's really it. I mean, that is the start of it all. And then the information's out there. And so it's not a matter of like, where can I find the information? At that point in time, it's going to be, literally just focusing on the information that only pertains to you and the focus that you want to have, whatever niche it is that you want to master, and then to run after it full speed ahead at that point in time.
So true, Kevin. And that's something came to my mind. Rod Cliff, good friend of yours, and he talks about mindset. So true.
Yes.
So very true. I mean, a lot of things we think it's, learning the ropes and everything, which will come. But if we can just take care of the mind and get focused and get inspired and say that this is what I really want to do and learn, then the road is ahead of us. The blueprints are out there. So no, thank you. Let me kind of go into your life, Kevin. What does a day look like in the life of Kevin Bupp, starting in the morning, buddy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So one of my big passions, which I've tied to a charity, I always try to tie things I enjoy doing to the giving back side of my life. And so this morning I woke up at 4:15 a.m. and it's 4 mornings out of the week. I get up for a really early bike ride. I do like a 40-mile bike ride before the family wakes up, before the kids get rolling and things like that. So that's what I did this morning, and meet up with a group of guys I've been riding with for 9-10 years. And this is a great way to start the day, break a big sweat, and just fills me with energy. So like that. One way or another, I exercise. I try to break a sweat every day. My off days, I normally just go for a walk or go for a quick jog or something like that. So that gets the day going. I try to do it before anyone gets out of bed, before the wife gets up, before the kids get up. Because once that happens, then I've got a 3- and 6-year-old. So especially with the homeschooling thing happening, the last couple of months have been a little bit of chaos, and my wife is an absolute saint. She's just a huge blessing because she's been kind of managing the household. And as far as that, back to the whole, lifestyle by creation of when you're getting these early stages starting your business. One of the decisions we made in our company, we had a corporate office for many years. It was about a half an hour drive from my house there and a half an hour drive home. I hate wasting time, and I don't like others wasting time either. Yeah. And a decision that we made, I kind of made it, I guess you could say, for the entirety of the company, because that's the way I wanted to go. Again, it's my business. So I wanted to make sure that, again, you don't fall out of alignment with the reason why you started this thing and the reason why you're putting your energy and your heart into, your business. And so at the end of last year, I made a decision that we weren't going to renew our lease, which happened to end at the end of March this month, because here's what I found. We use Slack, which is we've been using for a couple of years in business, which is an amazing tool. Amazing tool. And we only have 8 people in the corporate office. Most of our people are out in the field. And so, but I still found certain days where we were literally slacking each other, communicating, but we wouldn't see each other's faces. I said, this is a little ridiculous. So we're being really efficient. We're getting our jobs done. But like, is it necessary that we all waste an hour of travel each day coming in here when we could literally be just as efficient, if not more, from homes to have more flexibility in your day, right? If you got to go take your kid to the dentist, go do it. Yeah, make it happen, right? And so, again, lifestyle by design. And so I basically said, we're not renewing the lease. So now I'm working from home. And so it timed out just well with the pandemic. Our lease ended at the end of March, and that's when pretty much the shutdown happened. And so I got a home office here, which you see me at, and typically come up here and get rolling at about 9 a.m. And I'm not one of those guys, Vinney, that nothing's wrong with it, but I try to work as efficiently as possible. I don't really subscribe to the whole, like, hustle 12 hours out of the day, 6 days a week and on Sundays. I really enjoy my family. I enjoy spending as much time with them as possible. We've adopted some pretty cool, daily habits that we do together, like little rituals. We do like a quick dive in the pool with the kids in the middle of the afternoon, which I did this afternoon after lunch. And we do like a little dance party in the afternoon just to kind of break up the monotony. And so anyway, I try to have fun. I try to get a lot done, but I also have fun and make sure that I can create some special memories all the while doing it.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Kevin, I mean, the key thing is success is only success if we have the best balanced life. I always believe that, with the children. I know when Neil and Monica were young, they're very old now. They're in the back. That's also older picture. But, the key thing is, I remember the days I have had office at my home for 43 years, just by the way. I never had outside. I did have companies where they had offices, but I never went there. I just stayed in my office and worked remotely. But you're so right, to spend that time with your children, that's the most precious time. And that's happiness, that's success. That will never be the money that you and I make or anything like that. And that's so important. I think everybody listening to us, I think that's something, if you just even take that nugget from Kevin, I think that will be tremendous, tremendous revelation. And one thing I also find, Kevin, is, I've been in sales, marketing, motivation, all that, and so forth. But I used to take my kids' schedule and their calendar on my calendar. I'll superimpose it for the whole year. And they'll tell me what field trips they want me to go and when I want to be with them, with their, staff meetings and all that stuff and all that, and fundraising events and this and that. So those things were more important, and that sends a great message to our wives, to our children, that, dad is working hard, but he's also giving me the time. So it's so, so important, and we just celebrated 40th anniversary, actually, my wife and
congratulations.
I.
That's a huge milestone. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. God.
Well, of the hundreds or probably thousands of not just podcast interviews I've done, but just successful business folks I've had the opportunity to engage with and interact with over the last 20 years, the biggest regret of those that are older than I, right? That are at a different stage, that had, kids that were grown or out of the house, what have you. The biggest one regret that I heard over and over again is that I was not around, during the first 10 years or 8 years or 12 years of my kids' life, because I was so busy building the business that, that support the family, or I was traveling for whatever it was. I mean, they weren't around, and that was by far the biggest regret, because now they didn't have maybe they've rebuilt the relationship, but they never get those memories back. You don't get the time back of when those awesome memories could have been made. Right. And I vowed to never, ever go down that road. I surely don't want to live a life with regrets. And being that was the biggest one I heard, I figured that I would be proactive, get out in front of that one. And plus, I enjoy being with the family. I'm not looking for a reason to get away from them. I'm looking for a reason to spend more time with them.
Oh, that is so true. And I think this whole world, I believe in, energy. I believe in everything. And I believe that the COVID, 19 happened for a reason. I don't know how you can take it, but it's just that it's showing, the nature is telling us, hey, let's realign our lives. Maybe we don't need to be in the freeway 2 hours, like in Bay Area. I live near San Francisco. People spend 2 hours going, 2 hours coming, 4 hours of travel time. So I think with dismantling of the Silicon Valley and a lot of things happening here, it's going to really bring families together. I really believe that. I think we will grow out of the whole situation as a better human being, better people to spending more time and more love with the kids, like you said, young kids. And it's so important because, like the big thing is I really believe success is there, like you just said, but the biggest regret is that those 10 to 13 years will never come back.
Yes.
And they are the foundation of, their upbringing, and their helping in their, homework and doing activities and everything. Those are the memories that we can take it till we die. I mean, literally,
Yes.
we can't take a dime or a dollar with us, when we are buried or cremated, but definitely we can leave a legacy behind.
Yes.
And I hope the people listening to us really see our intent, what we are talking about. Because if you're happy, if you think that you have done everything right with your family, probably nobody has. I haven't done it. So let's just take that time and think and find out. One more thing I want to mention is that, if we really figure out in the 5 days of work, if we can log it in and find out what were the best times that I should have really spent time in, and what were the activities that I wasted time, I can promise everybody that maybe in 3 days, you could do the 5 days of work or 6 days of work in three.
Yes.
And I've done it, and I've over and over and overly done it and all that. And it's always when you figure out that this activity should take this long time, and then you are able to accomplish so much. And I remember the times when I used to say to my wife that, hey, every Wednesday we're going to go shopping or go on date at noon. I didn't have to tell my boss, but I was done with my work. And then 12 o'clock, we were on our dates together, things like that. And then Friday and so forth like that. Any kind of nuggets, Kevin, you want to share, how to bring, you mentioned about special activities with your children and wife, and that's fabulous, I think, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as far as golden nuggets, I mean, experience with the family, I try to incorporate them in everything that we do. Even back when I was traveling for business and work, we would take a lot of the trips together. And if I was going to a very neat area or cool area, and then we would take them along with us. And again, just, I just putting an emphasis on, creating those moments and those memories and just being there for your family and kids. I think that's just, I don't know if that's a gold nugget or not, but I think it's incredibly important and something that, your children will cherish. Today they won't realize it, but surely it will play a major role in them developing into a beautiful young adult, right? And being caring to their children and their grandchildren and just being present. And that becomes a new norm, right? That's all they know. That's what's relative. And so I think that's important. And as far as any other golden nuggets, I'd mentioned I try to tie what it is I enjoy doing with business, but also with giving back. And so, we do it through the Running for Bruce Social Club, which I'm not as involved with anymore. I have a partner kind of taking that over about 5 or 6 years ago, but we still give a lot back to charity each and every year. But the bike ride we do, which you mentioned, is it's a 3-day bike ride to Key West. I'm a big fan of long distance cycling. That's one of my outlets for just getting some not just physical workout, but also just releasing mental tensions and things like that. And years back, this is Rod's charity. Rod has a charity. Rod Cleave has a charity called the Tiny Hands Foundation. And him and I both suffered through the crash of 2008, and we've been very close friends for a long time. And Rod's had that charity. I've been involved helping with that charity for many, many years. Probably all the way back to like 2003 or 2004. And he used to fund that charity all himself out of his own pocket. He never took donors. And in 2009, after he had pretty much lost everything, he went from feeding 3,000 families a year of his own pocket to feeding like 100. It went from a huge operation to a small because he had never taken donors. And so I saw that as a way where I could step in. I had no money. Again, I was just as broke as he was. But I saw it as a way to maybe tie my passion for cycling into creating an event that would, take all the proceeds and essentially donate them and help feed these families. Right. And so the first year we did it was 2010. It was, we literally donated maybe like $500. Now it's grown into like a fairly large event. This will be our 10th year. We missed a year due to Irma. the hurricane. But every year we consistently donate between $50,000 and $60,000 to feed local families in the Tampa Bay area. So which equates to thousands upon thousands of kids and families. And so, but it's all tied to passion of cycling and things I enjoy doing. I enjoy the cycling aspect, also giving back, and so it's incredibly rewarding to share the experience with a lot of people on the ride, and then also share that experience and the reward of it with the families that we help out and we support. So just a beautiful thing all the way around.
So wonderful, Kevin. And I'm so glad you said that. And I would like to encourage everybody listening to us to do that, because I know my wife and I, we have charitable foundation ourselves. And every month religiously, we've been paying during COVID to the local, food, meal food and different organizations. And it's so important to give that, because all of us who have little extra, we should distribute because that's our moral duty. The other thing I wanted to mention was that, guess what? We are in your backyard. We are coming there even more. I bought a property in Orlando with my partners, then in Melbourne, and now we built in Cape Coral, a beautiful assisted living facility. And we are breaking ground in July 1st, I think, in Punta Gorda. And then we'll be breaking ground in Palm Bay. We bought the land there. And then we were in Sebastian day before yesterday. I'm over here in California, but our partner, Shahid, was there meeting with the building boards and everybody. We just bought 12 acres of land in Sebastian, Florida. And then we are buying a land in Merritt Island right now. So we'll be starting luxury assisted livings in all these locations in the next 6 months.
That's exciting.
So, I look forward to meeting you.
Absolutely.
And we're going for lunch or dinner. Love to take you out.
I look forward to that. Absolutely. And I want to make sure I mention one other thing about the charitable giving before we wrap this up, Vinney. And, you made a mention of, we have to give, right? But I think the mistake a lot of people make that maybe they don't have a lot of discretionary income, right? They in their mind, they don't have enough to even get by on a day-to-day basis with their own basic needs. That doesn't mean that you can't give back. I mean, your time. I mean, you can go, volunteer at the local, food kitchen or church. I mean, whatever is a direct alignment with, with you as an individual, your personality, like, what charities do you believe in? I mean, when I started the bike ride, I didn't have it. I was absolutely broke. I mean, and we started out of literally thin air. Set aside a budget for like $200 with some Facebook ads way back then, and got a couple people to do it, got the word spread. And it's all about the desire, right? If you have a desire and you want to help, you don't need money to help. I mean, you've got time, you've got your 2 hands, you got your 2 feet. There's plenty you can do with just that alone.
So true, Kevin. Again, I want to thank you, and John and Alicia wants to thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I admire you, inspired by you, and God give you and your family all in this world, Kevin. And thank you for taking the time. And this is Vinneychopra from Apartment Syndication Made Easy podcast that we've been trying to do and spread the good word around the universe. And thanks again, Kevin. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
And
thank you.
Please, I forgot. I can't let it go. How can people reach you?
Oh, yeah. So the best one way to get a hold of me and to get an idea of the things we have going on and the company and things of that nature, just go to my personal website, and then there's links to all the different things that we have happening. So kevinbupp.com. And if you want to reach out to me individually with a question, just go to the contact us page and it makes its way back to me.
Marvelous. And we'll put it in the show notes below, guys. Please do reach out to Kevin. He's got tremendous opportunities for investing and also for teaching, a lot of you, how to get into mobile homes and other above average returns. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you, bud. And look forward to seeing you in Florida. Yeah.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Vinney. Thank you. And thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Cut.
Be sure to listen to Mr. Smiles next week with more golden nuggets and top-notch coaching tips. You can reach him by going to Vinneychopra.com. or texting the word syndication to 474747. Be sure to like, comment, and share to show everyone how Mr. Smiles has brought your apartment syndication business to the next level.